Hello, G Minor in the house.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. Because you look different, the upbringing, how difficult was it?
I remember one time there were kids trying to take my parka off and they're like, what are you hiding under there? Like my dad didn't like listening to other types of music. He was like, either music sunna ya, part sunna, gurbani sunna, kirtan sunna, but gaane gune chhad de tumhara. Like dad, I guess he put one CD in one day and heard like a Tupac like song and he just grabbed the CD and threw it out the window. He's like,
so Brown Munde happened. There comes this song that just blows up.
Being on FaceTime with Sidhu Paji and him sharing the song, he's like sitting back home in the bin, bumping it on the tractor, and I'm just like scratching my head being like, yo, I can't, what's going on right now? You know, these are people that I looked up to.
What was it about Brown Munde, do you think?
There's just some magic about it, and like it's that energy that we had in us. I think it was put into that song, it was put into the music. I
know that there was like a no media rule that all of you had as well, and everybody was like very unapproachable. There was a lot of mystery. Was that intentional as well? How did it change things for all of you?
I don't think we really realized it until we touched down in India. It was too much too soon.
There was Gurinder in the room, there was AP, there was Shinda, there was you, and everything seemed to look amazing. There was this camaraderie, but yet there was some, why did AP unfollow you? Why did you unfollow AP? And all those things are happening. So what was going on in those 2 years?
Sometimes you just have to step away from that environment to really find yourself.
You disappeared.
We were actually on tour at this time and I kind of just booked my ticket. I flew back home, I stepped back. And at that moment I felt like...
Did you ever think all of you will get back together? AP, Gigi, Shinda, yourself. Hello, G Minor in the house. Ki hal chal?
Well, yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. Aaye bhi tusi duroo.
Not too far, just a ferry ride away.
Thoda ja. Baharle loਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਨਾ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਆਈਲੈਂਡ ਦੀ ਕਹਾਣੀ ਕੀ ਆ. ਜਦੋਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਸਮਝਾਉਣਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਵਿਕਟੋਰੀਆ, people always like, it's an island. So if you had to explain to somebody where Victoria is and where you from, how would you do it?
I think I never tell them. I just say Vancouver. They understand, or Vancouver Island.
Right.
They're like, oh yeah, Vancouver, same thing.
Growing up in Victoria, okay, Jazzy, what was that like?
I think I didn't appreciate it enough when I was growing up. It was really quiet, really peaceful. Not too many South Asian families. I think maybe just a handful when I was growing up. So I think I always wanted to move to Surrey or move to Brampton, like be with my people. So I didn't really appreciate it growing up. But now that I'm in my 30s, I definitely am so thankful that, you know, my parents decided to move to the island and raise me there. Just a beautiful place to raise a family.
And you're doing the same now?
I'm doing the same.
Amazing. Gagan, मैं ना थोड़ा Instagram देख रही सी कल ते ਉਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਇੱਕ ਫੋਟੋ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਬਚਪਨ ਦੀ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਆਈ. ਨਿੱਕਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਮੁੰਡਾ ਕਿਊਟ ਜਿਹਾ ਜੂੜੇ ਵਾਲਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਨਾਲ ਮਮ ਬੈਠੇ ਨੇ ਸੂਟ ਪਾ ਕੇ. ਔਰ ਮੈਂ ਇਹੀ ਸੋਚ ਰਹੀ ਸੀ, ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਜ਼ਾਹਿਰ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਉਦੋਂ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲੀ ਬੈਕ ਦੈਨ 90s ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਵਰਗੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਆਲੇ ਦੁਆਲੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਘੱਟ ਹੋਣੇ ਆ. So how difficult was that for that child? Because you look different, because you're different. The upbringing, how difficult was it?
Well, at that time, you don't really think about it. As I said, there was only a handful of families. Maybe like in my school, there was only 2 other kids that had Jude. At least I guess, you know. Maybe like a little bit of bullying. You never really paid too much attention to it. I remember one time there were kids trying to take my parka off and like they're like, what are you hiding under there? And then it was just about, the principal noticed it, and it was just about education, being like, you know, this is a part of his religion. He keeps his gaze, he doesn't cut his hair. And, you know, it wasn't too bad. I'm not going to over-glorify it and be like, no, I had a tough upbringing. It was pretty easy, I'm not going to lie, especially in the community that I lived. I think everybody was really understanding, and it was like a melting pot of cultures, like Asians, white people, from all over, you know, so it wasn't bad at all.
And it was a very musical household as well, from what I remember.
Yes.
Because your dad was very musical,
yes,
right?
Yes, still is, till this day.
Yeah. Yes, tell us about that.
He's a Gursikh, he's Amritari, he does kirtan often at the Gurdwara. He got me playing tabla early on when I was a kid. And like as soon as I could kind of get the rhythm, he had me on stage at the Gurdwara playing tabla with him every Sunday. So I think that's where where my roots kind of started. And yeah.
How old? What's your first memory of tabla and you playing the tabla? How old were you?
Maybe like 4 years old. Like we used to live in the basement in Victoria. Ganiji used to live upstairs, and they used to have like monthly pots. And I remember like one time, there's pictures of it and videos of it. I'm just banging on the tabla. My dad's playing the harmonium, doing kirtan, and yeah, just history after that.
Why did your parents choose Victoria to settle?
I think my dad also wanted to. He came, I think, in the 1991. He also wanted to move to Surrey or Brampton because his family was over in Toronto. But my mom's sister was settled in Victoria. She said that you guys got to come here, and I'm so thankful that she did. She brought us over here.
Yeah. So what were they doing? Because I know a lot of people can relate to the immigrant story, especially when it comes to immigrant parents, because we've seen it, we witnessed the struggle that they go through
100%.
to give us a good life. So
100%.
what was that like?
Like I know my Masterji came here early on. I'm not exactly sure when, but I'm guessing the 60s, like maybe 60s, 70s.
Right.
And then he worked in the hospitality service. He was managing the Empress Hotel over there in Victoria.
Nice.
So he had solidified himself. He had really integrated into the community for like 20 years before my dad and my mom came here. So my Masiji and my Masterji were like really big helping hand and kind of showing the ropes to my parents and like this is life here and helping them settle, helping them find a place to live, helping them find jobs, and having a hand in raising me as well.
It is hard though, because when I look back and watch my cousins just go into the memory lane and talk about their childhood, most of them do realize the fact that their parents worked really hard.
Yes.
But at that time when they were children, they also remember that their parents weren't around as much either, because they're trying to settle here. They're trying to make ends meet, and it's interesting. But as soon as you humanize your parents and you grow old enough to understand what their struggles were, then you get a perspective.
100%. Like, I'm 32 right now, and I'm thinking back, like my parents were 24, 25. They had me. They came to a new country. They were, living in basements, going job to job, doing cleanup, doing taxi, cooking, all the little random jobs that they could find. And back then, I didn't really understand, but like, now that I'm at this age and I look back and like, I wouldn't have been able to do that. And I'm so grateful that they gave me this life and this opportunity to, further myself without having those hurdles.
Yeah.
So I'm super grateful.
You spell your name very differently. Gagan, I've never seen with a U.
Yeah.
So why was that?
Thanks to my Masiji. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm happy. It's unique.
It is unique.
You won't find anybody else with that same name.
That's true. When I was reading your bio, that was interesting. Do you have any siblings?
I have a younger sister, yes.
Yeah. What was that like, having a younger sister?
She was diagnosed with autism early on. So obviously love her, but it was different, obviously. So she still goes to school. She just had her 30th birthday recently, and had a small knit family, but it was a lot of my cousins around as well. So I always felt like I wanted like an older brother growing up. So I was never like content, but I had my older cousins to like really show me the ropes. So yeah.
How difficult is it to have a sibling that has autism growing up?
Growing up, I think it's a learning curve. It's about understanding what autism is, because it's such a big spectrum. There's so many different types of diagnoses, but once you understand, it's not that difficult. It might be difficult for her on a daily basis, but as long as she's happy, she's enjoying her day-to-day activities, which she is, and still every day she's learning, and I'm learning new things about her. And I'm there for her, and it is definitely a responsibility. She's with me till the end.
For a very long time in some families, autism spectrum doesn't get diagnosed in kids either.
I think it's a thing of like being ashamed in our community, and I feel like the first few clear signs, or if they're there, there's help, and you should go and get that help immediately. and make that child's life better. You know, I think that's something that I learned. I feel like being ashamed of and being like, nahi koi gal nahi theek ho jana, ape Rab ne kar dena, that's not, I see that in our community a lot.
Of course, yeah.
And I don't think that's the right way to do it. I think there's lots of resources, especially here where we live, to help.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You, without even realizing how much you are absorbing as a child, I feel like you absorbed a lot. There was a lot of spirituality around you. There were difficult circumstances. So you're obviously, you have this patience that probably a lot of kids your age might not have had. Did you grow up very fast?
I wouldn't say so. I feel like I enjoyed my childhood. I feel like I'm still a kid, to be honest. Like I'm still learning, I'm still growing.
Yeah. What are your vivid memories of your childhood where you were probably the happiest?
I was like an explorer. So I was a super introvert. I didn't have too many friends, but I loved just going on my bike and just going for long rides and just seeing, you know, exploring new parts of the city, going to the beach. Obviously my parents didn't know I was doing this. They thought I was just going around the block, but you know, I was going on these long adventures. I was just stuck in my head, and just creative thoughts as I'm going. And yeah.
Usually when you talk to families or kids especially who've grown up in a musical family, it seems like a chore when your father is saying tu table te ba, tu harmonium baja, because you don't understand the value of the teaching that's being passed on to you, right?
100%.
Because you want to go out and play.
Yeah.
You don't want to practice at tabla when you're 4 or 5 years old. You actually want to do the fun things that your friends are doing. Was that a chore for you, or did you actually genuinely start enjoying it early on?
Like, I definitely enjoyed it early on, like, you know, but when it became like, oh, every Sunday you got to go to the Gurdwara, you got to wake up early, you're the only guy playing tabla today, then it started becoming a chore, you know, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm grateful that my dad forced me to do this. He even, like, you know, there wasn't any Punjabi schools in Victoria. We'd come home, my grandpa, my darji, he'd teach me Punjabi, teach me Path. Then we go do kirtan, you know, like there's a lot of Sikhi influence in my house, which I'm grateful that is instilled in me, and then I want to go forward instilling in my family as well.
What did you dream of becoming when you were younger?
Obviously, the kids want to become like police officers, astronauts. I wanted to do something in music. Like early on, I definitely knew. I was so infatuated with music. And that was one thing in my family. It was like my dad didn't like listening to other types of music. He was like, either music sunna ya, part sun, Gurbani sun, kirtan sun, but gaane gune chhad de tumhara. Like, so I had to like hide and listen to the radio, or like, you know, when my dad wasn't around, I'd be playing music. And I think maybe just because it was like that taboo, I was really infatuated by it. Like, what are they saying? What is this music? Like, why is this bad? Like,
so what is it that you were listening to?
Early on, I was listening to a lot of rap music, like Eminem, 50 Cent, Tupac, Biggie. You know, obviously my cousins were a big influence. I heard them listening to this song. Obviously, my older friends, I had some friends. You know how you have pen pals and buddies in elementary school. They were showing me music. I remember I had a CD player. I ended up going to the corner store buying I think it was an NWA CD, like early on. Like I was only like 7 years old. And I'm going to school every day with my headphones on, and other kids are like, here, let me listen to what you're listening to. So I'd be like showing all the kids like all this music that they've never heard of, because they're also not allowed to listen to it.
Right, yeah.
And I kind of became that guy that like, yo, if you need songs or music, you know, go to G, he has it.
Oh, wow.
Even like through high school, like I was the guy that like, you know, giving out MP3 discs, like here, have this one, play this. This is the new Punjabi mix. This is the new rap mix.
Yeah.
So yeah, music was always a part of me. And I never thought that I'd be I'd be a producer. I never like imagined myself as a producer. Maybe an artist, I don't know, because you have big dreams when you're a kid. But yeah.
So like singing, performing artist?
As a kid, yeah.
Really?
You know, you see like 50 Cent on stage. You're like, yeah, I can do that. Let me put my banana on and, you know, put on some chains and
pretend to be a rock star.
Exactly.
Yeah. Was Dad watching this? Your parents were watching this? That our child is actually leaning towards the Western music scene? Because obviously he was against it and he wanted you to listen to a certain kind of music.
Maybe. I remember when I got my license, you know, I had a stack of CDs in my car, And my dad, I guess he put one CD in one day and heard like a Tupac like song, and he just grabbed the CD and threw it out the window. He's like, "Aki suni janda," Like early on, I understand he wanted me to focus more either on like my studies or on Sikhi. So he wasn't really fully there and impressed when I'd be listening to these type of songs, but obviously when you grow older and older, there's not much you can do, like this is...
this identity crisis that the kids born and raised here, South Asian kids, go through, it's hard for other people to understand it. You're literally living two lives. There's a life outside the home that you're growing up in.
Yeah.
And then there is a life where you're born and raised.
100%.
So maintaining those two identities it's such a challenge. But also it makes you who you are when you grow up.
Yes.
So the fact that your music is amalgamation of the Punjabi folk sounds, yet it has a hip hop trap sound to it. Do you think it has a lot to do with that?
100%. Like, I'm also a Gemini. I don't know if that plays a effect, but I was able to have so many different personalities. I have my home personality, I have my school personality, I have my personality that's in the studio. So many different personas that I'm able to juggle. And I think that definitely helped, just maneuvering through this last few years, into stepping foot into the Punjabi scene while still, having my roots deep into hip hop and pop and stuff like that. So I think just having those different personality traits definitely added to the whole experience.
So introduce us to all the Gagans.
I can.
And
there's
the G minor.
Yeah, there's too many.
Okay, so how about the three? The one in the studio, the one at home, and the one in the outside world.
Okay. So home, obviously you got to follow the rules. I was going to school. I was getting my marketing degree. First, I started off trying to get my accounting degree, switched over to marketing. And, every day my dad's asking school, how's it going? How's this? What are you going to do? You should read the realtor's book to start becoming a realtor. I'm planning on buying this property. I want you to get into development. And so, those are the conversations I'm having at home with my dad. And then when I'm at school, I'm kind of more like just more open, meeting everybody, seeing what they're up to. I want to know what your plans are. What are you doing after school? What's your long-term goals, and kind of just following what people were doing at the time. And obviously we're young, we're out, we're partying too. And then there comes a part of me where I'm like, I really want to do something creative. I had some friends that were really heavily into the hip hop scene. They were making music every day. This is like right after high school. We're sitting in the garage every single day, kind of writing lyrics, making music, kind of planning, dissecting the scene, like what other people are doing, what it takes to become an artist, what it takes to become a producer. When you make it, what happens? What do the labels do? So we're actually, I started studying this early on.
Wow.
2011, just by watching some of my idols maneuver the game, and then soaking in all that game, and then kind of being like, yo, how do I add value to this?
Who were these idols?
Oh, my idols were J. Cole at the time, Kendrick Lamar, obviously Drake. These were the top three at 2011. These guys were on fire, and I was really infatuated by their whole legacy and where they're going. So
at the back of your mind, was it always what can I do with the Punjabi music?
Not at that time. Okay. So at this time, yes, obviously. I know Punjabi music. I listen to Punjabi music. One of my biggest idols growing up was Jazzy B, because I kind of grew up in the early 2000s. I think that's when his wave was coming on. I remember when Romeo came on, and
it was big.
It was huge. It was huge, and then the fact that there was rap in there, and the beat and the flows, and it really resonated with me. I was like, this is amazing. I can go to school and show my friends and be proud of this. And obviously, and that was another song I had to hide from my dad. If it was on TV or my dad's going, I'm just changing the channel, But so I had some influence in Punjabi music that I really loved, and then Diljit Baji came. He was changing the scene at that time as well. But my heart was still in hip hop, and that was if I was going to a playlist, I'm going to be listening to J. Cole. I'm going to be listening to I want to listen to some bars. I want to listen to some rap. So that's what I really gravitated towards at that time, 2011. when I'm really dissecting the music scene.
Right. But it's fascinating to me that a kid who's so listening to Jazzy B, listening to Romeo, one day gets to perform at the Junos with Jazzy B.
100%.
I can't even imagine what that would have been like.
It was, there's I've met so many people through this journey, like so many like idols and so many people that I've seen on TV and like singers, actors. And like, it's always like, okay, you're just a regular person. Nice to meet you. But there's only a few people where I'm kind of like, oh, like what? Like I did get to meet Jazzy B. Like I kind of was speechless. I met him. I shook his hand. I showed some love, but like I couldn't like in my inside, I was just like fanning. I was like, I can't believe I was 12 years old, so inspired by your music, and now I'm here sharing a stage with you. So there's moments like that in life that, you'll take forever, like, you'll take with you for your whole life. So
true. We are going to come back to the Junos, but I think I would love to know, what was one of the sort of the first few tracks that you produced in your garage and then moving to the downtown studio?
Yeah, so the first few tracks that I produced, I started maybe 20, let's maybe backtrack. So 2011, 2012, 2013, my friends are trying to be rappers.
Right.
And they have the beats, they're making their own beats and they're making their own lyrics and it's fire. And I want to add value to this. I don't know what to do. They're like, you're our friend, but what's your part in all this? I went and got a camera. I was like, I'm going to make the music videos. I'm going to film you guys. I'm going to vlog all this. So I think that's where my first initial step into like entertainment started.
Okay.
Was grabbing a camera. So I got this camera. I'm making music videos for my friends. They're putting them out. Now I'm not only just making music videos, I'm approaching everybody in the city. I'm realtors, whatever business you have, like, let me film you, let me get some practice. And I'm doing everything for free. I'm just, whoever I know through contact, I'm just like, yo, let me do something for you.
That's such an important lesson though, because I feel like anytime your foundation is based on how much money you can make, it's not usually a good start.
No.
If you're not following your heart and what feeds your soul, and you actually, all you care about is the money,
100%.
I feel like the longevity is not there.
I've seen that so many times. The people that are just starting out, they're like, I need the bag. I'm like, yo, there's no bag, but there's experience.
Yeah.
And that might lead to something else. In my case, it did.
Absolutely.
I was flying out to LA and like paying for my own tickets, sleeping in cars, trying to meet artists just to film music videos for them. Like just out of passion, and at this time I'm still going to school. I'm still working part-time. My dad's still like, what are you doing with your life?
I was going to say, he probably had no idea.
Yeah.
According to him, I'm sure you were wasting time.
100%. 100% I was. And, I can't blame him. Like, I'd probably think the same thing. Like, what's my kid doing? He's just running around. He's been like, it took me maybe 7 years to get a 4-year degree. He's seeing me like, moving through life really slowly. And like by that age, my dad had already been married and had kids. And, he'd been grinding. So I understand where he was coming from.
Right.
So yeah. And coming back to your point, like if you're out there hungry, like you got to do things for people and you got to learn and you got to get their experience. You got to get your 10,000 hours in, into something. So
yeah.
I think that really helped me is learning the camera and learning how to make videos and learning how to edit, learning the editing software. And then it came to a point where now I know this skill. Now I'm like, what's next? I'm like, I really love music. Like videos is sick. It's awesome. I love it.
Are there any music videos out there that we can check out? That were, oh really?
Yeah,
Tell us more.
I think majority of the first music videos we all shot, like I shot Farad, I shot Drop Top, yeah, they're not coming to my head right now,
right,
but majority
okay.
of all of them, like, even Brown Munde, I was on set. I was, like, in every video, like, I have a hand in it.
Amazing.
And that, experience came with me.
Of course.
So it started with the camera.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I wanted, it's getting hard. Like, I'm by myself too. Like, usually you need a crew, you need a lighting crew, you need, like, a whole setup.
Yeah.
It was just me, my camera, and my gimbal, and I'm getting it done. So now I'm like, what's next? And then I got into music. So I downloaded the software. Took me like 2 years to learn the software. I'm just watching YouTube tutorials every day.
And what software is this?
This is Ableton Live.
Okay.
It's like a German software.
Okay.
They make good cars. They make good software as well. And so, it took me 2 years to really wrap my head around it. And I'm still learning till this day. Like, this is like a type of software that always keeps upgrading and new firmware updates. And So I started learning music, and then now I'm making music. Going back to your question, I'm offering the same people that I was shooting videos for. I was like, yo, let me make you a song. Let's make a beat. Let's come record. Let me do something free for you guys. And then now slowly artists know that I have a studio space in downtown Victoria where you can just come. You can come record with me. I'll make beats. And
where did that confidence come from? That, okay, I can transition from my garage to downtown Victoria, an actual studio.
Yeah. That's a good question. I think it was at the point where I was doing a lot of video work that it got really hard. And I was like, this is, I need to do something that really resonates with me more. And I think music was always there, as I said, like from the back. And I really wanted to learn.
Amazing.
And so once I got over the learning curve, I was like, I need to meet people. I need to network. And I need to just start engineering and sharpening these skills.
Yeah. It's such an important point. Learning should essentially never stop.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you grow.
100%.
But the fact that everybody, especially in today's day and age, wants an instant gratification, an instant result, and doesn't have the patience, I sometimes wonder if they know the value of putting in the work and actually learning the skill. I don't know how many people would spend 2 years trying to figure out a software so that they can produce music.
So for me, it was like, okay, like my family worked hard. I'm not gonna go broke. I had like a net behind me.
That's right. Yeah.
So music was always plan B, and it was always my hobby. I never looked at it as like, this is what I'm gonna make money off of. It was like, I'm gonna do this for the rest of my life. I don't care if I make money off this.
Right.
And so obviously I wanted to learn, and I wanted to, I watched my favorite producers making beats online to like YouTube tutorials, and it was never like, oh, I'm trying to become the greatest producer ever. It was just, I want to make music that I like, and that I want to share with my peers, my friends at that time.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that's what really is the driving point. If money is your driving point, it's not going to happen. I remember when we first started seeing success, the people around me were like, oh, we want to do this too. They started purchasing studio equipment, spending thousands of dollars on things. It's like, yo, you don't need any of this. First, you need the drive. First, you need to get the education. Yeah. Yes, you're going to have to put in your hours.
But build the foundation first.
And only do it if you love it.
Absolutely.
Don't just do it because you see other people doing it and you see getting famous, and now you want to be famous, or you want to live that life. That's not what I did it for. I did it because I actually loved it.
Yeah.
So I think that you need to find your driving force first.
So now this entire journey, it's led me to Gagan in college.
Okay.
And business or marketing you were studying?
Yeah, business.
Was it
minor in business.
Kamsin College?
Kamsin College, yes.
Yeah, and then you meet an international student randomly who had come to study.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So my friends always used to call me the welcoming committee, even if we at school, if I'm at the club or anywhere I am, I see Punjabis, I go up to them, I say, what up, what's going on?
Yeah.
Where are you from? Because, growing up in Victoria, there were not too many Punjabis. And even if we do see Punjabis, we greet each other. We walk by each other, we say Sat Sri Akal, or we wave or give a head nod. That's something I found weird coming to Surrey when I see all these brown people and no one's really acknowledging each other. It's because there's so many of you guys here in one melting pot. But in Victoria, I didn't have that. So anytime I see somebody, I was like, yo, what's going on? Where are you from? I was always so curious.
Yeah.
And, that led me to always introduce myself and meeting all these new people. And obviously, I think this is 4 or 5 years into my degree now. I'm in, I forgot what class it was, a computer class. I think we sat down, and I think that the first day of class, obviously brown kid's late, comes sits beside me, say what up. After class, I'm like, what's going on? What's your name? He's like, it's Amrit. And then we kind of just hit it off from there. I'm like, where are you from? He's like, I'm from India. Told me his pind, which happened to be the same pind as my mom's pind.
Crazy.
So,
small world.
And I was like, oh, I've never actually met anybody from that side.
What pind is that?
It was, my mom was from Dhariwal.
Okay.
And he's kind of just north of Dhariwal.
Close to Gurdaspur.
Gurdaspur, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. So, I went home and told my mom, I met somebody from where you're from. And she's all excited. She's like, yeah, bring him over next time. Let me meet him. And then, slowly, as the semester went by, I heard him singing in the hallway one time, and I was like, yo, this guy has an amazing voice. And at this time, I'd already I was shooting videos, I had my studio downtown, I was making songs for people, and as I did with everybody, I was like, yo, pull up, let's make some music, bro. You have an amazing voice. And at that time, he told me, he's like, I just do this for fun. I don't really do this seriously. And then I'm like, no, regardless, just come. So whatever, semester goes on, he never ends up coming.
You were saying it took about a year to get him in the studio?
Yeah, maybe less than a year, maybe 8-9 months. But that summer, I don't know, something happened. There's an altercation that happened between one of my friends and one of his friends. And we ended up just hashing it out. We were the mediators, and it was near my studio. And then I was like, okay, now since you're here, come check it out. He comes in, he sits down, and he's like, oh, okay, you're actually serious, you actually do this. And then he kind of checked it out that day. The next day he calls me, he's like, let's go sit in the studio. That's it, that's history from there. Like, we literally locked in, we started making music. I was already working with a lot of Punjabi artists at that time too, locally in Victoria, just, learning.
Mm-hmm.
And then me and AP at that time, we started just locking in every single day. We made a lot of music that will probably never come out. And that was just both of us learning. Like, he was learning his vocal tones, I was learning my engineering skills, and we both learned a lot off each other. And then I think maybe 2019, October, we're like, it's time to release something. I think we've been sitting on a lot of music. And that's something that happens with artists nowadays too. Like, you make amazing music, and then you sit on it, you listen to it for months and months and months, and then you get bored of it, and then that moment is gone.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, we keep doing this, we keep making music. Let's just start.
Where does that confidence come from? That, okay, we can share it with the world? Because it's hard. It's hard to believe in yourself. It's hard when nobody else believes in you. Today, everybody wants to work with you.
Yeah.
But back then, when you're starting out, and this is just two kids producing stuff, what gives you that confidence? That, okay,
at
we can
that time, it wasn't like sharing it with the world. At that time, it was like, let's upload it on YouTube. Let's make up a record label, call it Run Up Records, and share it with our friends. Let's share it with our college. Let's share it with our peers. Let's see what happens, Like, at that time, the drive was, I remember having this conversation with them, being like, yo, we're only here for a short time, and I want to leave something behind. I'm sure you want to leave something behind too. And the only thing I can think of is like visuals and music and this creative stuff. And I feel like this stuff will live on forever, like, far after us. And I think that really resonated with them at that time as well. So I think we were just doing it for that reason.
So who was writing the lyrics? You're producing the music. AP's giving the vocals. Amrit, at that time, he wasn't AP Dhillon yet.
Yeah.
Was Shinda in the picture already?
He was. I hadn't met him yet.
Okay.
I think they were all friends. Gurinder, Shinda, AP, they all knew each other from school. I had a relationship with AP. And then I think when we first were about to release our first song, I think that's when everyone came together. And I met them for the first time, and I realized, oh, Shinda, you write the lyrics. And I think AP wrote a lot of his own lyrics at that time as well, but he had a lot of songs that he had written.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
So the first song gets uploaded?
The first song, Fake, gets uploaded.
2019 October?
2019 October or November.
Okay.
It's somewhere around then.
Yeah.
And I was so excited. I was like, this is my first piece of music. I just uploaded it through DistroKid. We just made a YouTube channel, uploaded it. I took the cover art for him. I took a picture of him and just kind of edited it, wrote Fake, and just, didn't think much of it at that time. I really liked the song.
Yeah.
And at that time, that was really heavily inspired by Sidhu, because Sidhu was obviously doing his thing at that time. And I really loved when he used to sing in the perspective of a girl. Mm-hmm. So those type of songs were really resonating with me at that time. So we uploaded it. I remember coming home and telling my mom, like, Mom, look, I just uploaded my first song. It's going to blow up. And like the first night, it got like 10,000 plays. I was like, wow, what? Like,
wow.
This is, for me at that moment, I was like,
what a great success.
Yeah, and I'm showing my mom. I'm like, Mom, look at this. I got 10,000 plays. She's like, oh, cool, nice.
So
nice.
How do you think the word got out?
So taking marketing at that time,
yes.
I kind of had an understanding of like what I need to do to kind of share this with the right audience. I'm like, I like this music. If I like it, that means other people might like it too. So obviously social media is a big part. I looked at some meme pages, I looked at some music pages, and I was like, these people have the right audience, that if they, if we target some of these people and all I need them to do is just to listen to the first 5 seconds of my song.
Right.
If they hear the first 5-10 seconds of my song, I know they'll get sucked in if they're, if they like this type of music. And right away, like I knew the right pages to contact, and they started sharing the music. And obviously in the beginning you have to pay a little bit of marketing, you have to get yourself going. But then as soon as it resonates with the people, you're picking up traction right away. So if you have a good product, it's going to sell.
Yeah.
So right away, like that first day, I remember we got a call from Herman Atwell, who's now managing AP, and he was the first person to kind of show love. And he was like, yo, whatever you guys are doing, this is crazy. You guys, where are you guys? You guys are out there on the island. That's crazy. This is amazing.
And he didn't know any of you?
No, but he just, I think he DM'd AP.
Right.
Got his number, FaceTimed us right away.
Wow.
And then was just like, yo, showing love. So, those type of moments definitely resonate with you. If you're up and coming in the industry and like someone that's already kind of solidified in the industry and has connections is reaching out and telling you that you're doing good, that just fuels the fire even more.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now we're like, okay, we got our first song out. And the next day we went out and I have my camera now, and now we're shooting the video for Farad. Now we're it's Gurinder's next single.
Yeah.
So we're shooting the video. Now we're super amped. People are loving the song. People are calling us.
Yeah.
And now we have that energy, and you can see that energy through the music video. Like we're amped. Like, and we're just kids. We're not doing it for no numbers. We're not doing it for no fame. We're doing it just because we love it so much.
I really feel like that is the success. That
100%.
is the secret to success.
Yes.
When you're not doing it for any of that, you're just doing it for yourself.
Yeah.
That's the most authentic art you're
100%.
creating.
100%.
Because the moment you start thinking about numbers and start thinking about the views, your art's going to get affected. It really is. Yeah.
So at that time, it's super pure. Like we're just happy to be in the conversation.
Yeah.
And we're just wondering if the greats are noticing us at that time. Like, okay, like it's kind of spreading like wildfire now. Now we have 2 songs out that are just going crazy. And then we decided, like, we have lots of music. Let's just keep working. The fire was under us. The fuel was there. And so, we'd basically make a song. We make a bunch of songs. We'd be like, this is the next one. Then we focus on mixing and mastering that song, make a video for that song, market that song, upload it, have a little party the day of, cut a cake, and the next day, back to the drawing board. What's next? So we just kept that formula. We kept repeating it for like a full year. So I'm pretty sure we released a song like every year.
Wow.
Every month.
Every month, yeah.
Yeah, continuously.
Yeah.
Until like we went on tour.
So Brown Munde happens. So you're uploading one song every month.
Yeah.
But then there comes this song that just blows up.
Yeah.
All of a sudden. And things probably just changed overnight for you. Was that the first massive success? I can't even remember how many million views or streams that song has had. That's how I heard about all of you for the first time.
So at that time, like, we had dropped Majal, Drop Top, Excuses had come out. And so we were really trending here.
Right.
North America. Locally, North America and UK, like everywhere but India.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, we had some fans in India, but India was like that.
Right.
Really didn't know us at that time.
There was a time when there was only your music playing in cars.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember coming to Surrey, and then every second, third car is just like bumping one of our songs. I was like, this is crazy.
Any car I would get into, like my friends who would, like just meeting for like coffee or something, if I would get into a car, it would be your music.
Yeah.
And that's how I was introduced to your music.
100%.
That's insane.
It was an amazing feeling as well, just taking a ferry ride over, and then all of a sudden you're in a whole new world and everyone just knows you and like knows the music, and it was just an amazing, incredible feeling. But at this time we're just local stars.
Yeah.
And so we had Brown Munde. I remember we already had that in the vault, like before Excuses, like during Drop Top time is when we made that song.
Oh, interesting.
And I always knew, I was like, I really like this song. I really want to do something for it. I really want to shoot a music video for it. And I don't know when I played it for people, they're like, this is crazy, this is amazing, like drop this. So I remember we had that in like May, we made that in April, May, but we ended up dropping it in end of September, maybe October. And, you know, at that time we had traction and it was doing well. In the beginning months, it did well, like just like all of our other songs. But not until like January, February, for some reason, like it just blew up. Like India picked it up. I'm not exactly sure who shared it or what happened. I'm not exactly sure what that moment was, but there was a moment. You can see it in our streams and our YouTube video. The graph just spikes up and it's going viral in India and all over the world now. And so that was like the first like major like hit.
Yeah. Global hit.
Yeah. That, you know, really started recognizing us, and, you know, our peers started recognizing us after that. So many, you know, moments that I can recall, like even being on FaceTime with Sidhu Paji and him sharing the song. He's like sitting back home in the bin, bumping it on the tractor, and I'm just like scratching my head being like, yo, I can't, what's going on right now? You know, these are people that I looked up to and they're like loving the music and embracing it. So right after that, I think we set off to India for tour, I think in December.
What was it about Brown Munde, do you think, that made it such a massive hit?
I think the beat was really simple. I think the lyrics were really potent, really resonated with not only like us, like me, growing up here, but it resonated with the kids. It also resonated with people abroad. It was just something like, there's just some magic about it. And like, it's that energy that we had in us. I think it was put into that song. It was put into the music. And you can get that same frequency by just listening to it. You can see where we were at, our headspace when we were making that music, where we were, you know, where our headspaces were at and what kind of energies we were in at that time. So I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm kind of still like, you know, I still scratch my head. I still look at the numbers being like, yo, what the hell? How'd this happen? Like, it's only been like, what, like 3 years now or 4 years?
Yeah. Was it during the COVID times? Around that time, right?
So yeah.
Yeah.
That's another big part. Like I always forget that, like, yo, this happened during COVID.
It did.
You know, everyone's inside. No one's going to school. Everyone's doing online classes or working from home. And we're like, yo, you know, let's go.
Great.
Let's make music.
And it gave so much hope to new and upcoming artists, I remember.
Yeah.
Because everybody used to beg and plead music companies and labels to take them. And it was really, really difficult in the beginning. Who's going to take you if you haven't even established yourself, right? So for newcomers, it was always a challenge. 100%. And all of a sudden, these kids on Victoria Island, all of a sudden blow up on YouTube. I think everybody was like, oh my goodness, if they can do it, we can do it.
Yeah.
But yet there was so much mystery around all of you. That nobody really knew who all these kids were. I know that there was like a no media rule that all of you had as well. And everybody was like very unapproachable. The ones that knew you, but the ones that, like the world didn't know you. So there was a lot of mystery. Was that intentional as well?
I guess it was. There wasn't ever like a rule, like no media. Like obviously in the beginning, there was people coming up and taking videos and pictures, and we were kind of like, no, we don't want to do this. But then eventually I was like, you know, these are our fans. Right. Let's embrace them. Let's show love, because, you know, you show one-fold love, they're going to show tenfold love back. It's just going to spread like wildfire. Right. So at a certain point, we definitely embraced it. I don't think we intentionally were trying to be mysterious. I think us just living on such a remote place, living on the island and not being in the mix with everybody and not attending all these parties and whatnot, and we're always just in a garage making music for a full 2 years. I think that just kind of just created itself.
And not being prepared for the success probably too.
100%, no, yeah.
Right? Who can prepare you for that level of success?
100%.
So how did it change things for all of you?
I don't think we really realized it until we touched down in India. I think that was the first time obviously you're seeing numbers, right? You're seeing 1 million streams, but that doesn't really resonate in your head until you see thousands of fans in front of you screaming the lyrics and just going crazy. So I think when I touched down in India and I seen all that happen, I think that's when I was like, okay, we're doing something crazy and we're onto something. Sorry, what was the question?
Like, how did success change you? What did it sort of do to you individually and as a group?
For me, myself, I don't think it changed too much other than my perception of always trying to out-better myself. Like now you have this crazy global hit, and now I'm thinking like, okay, what do I do now? You know, like how do I beat that? And so for a longest time, I was stuck in this rut, being like, I need to outproduce myself. I need to out-better myself, give the people something better than something that I've already done.
The creative pressure.
Yeah. And then I remember we did like a cabin trip to somewhere in Sikh, which is also on the island.
Yes, it's beautiful.
And we got a cabin, and it was just for the pure intention of making music. And that's when I think Bali sent the melody to Insane. In my email, I played it right away. It resonated with everybody. I started working on the drums. And as I'm working on the song, Shinda's there writing the lyrics. And so right then, I always knew when my hair started standing up that we have something.
Yes.
So I got the goosebumps. And I'm like, yo, we're on to something. This is a crazy song. So that was our next hit. So now we recorded that. We shot the music video, dropped that one. That one also went like
Insane
crazy.
Was insane.
Yeah.
It really was.
And that not only here, but like worldwide. So that was the next one. And so now I'm kind of psyched out. I'm like, okay, I got to keep doing this. And I think that's something that I've learned now is I think I always was in competition with myself, but I don't think that's what people expected. I think people just want you to be genuine and true to yourself. And I needed to go back to that moment where I was just doing it for myself, instead of doing it for the numbers and doing it for the fans and really psyching myself out. So that definitely maybe affected me.
So did the conversations change when you were all together? Did they become from, okay, let's create something, to whether people are going to like this or not, and strategizing?
Definitely,
and
100%, definitely. Like our Hidden Gems EP was like, it took a while. Like we wanted to perfect our craft now. Like we have expectations. All our peers are watching us now. It's not just fans. It's all the people, the whole industry is watching and listening, and it's a lot of pressure. And we're still on the island. We're still making music out of a garage, and we don't have the tools that the whole industry has. But we have these expectations. And so, the conversations were definitely there. The tensions were high, and we needed to deliver. And I think that was one of our last projects together that we really delivered on. And I think
money, fame, success they're so interesting because they affect different individuals differently. A lot of people, that's all they want. Some people don't want that. Some people want complete anonymity and they don't want to be seen. So I wonder, when you're working as a group and everybody has different ambitions and different desires and different wants and needs, does that cause friction?
Yes, obviously. I think we've seen this over and over happen in many groups, many actors, always in entertainment.
Yeah.
The motive changes eventually. As I said, that we started off so pure and doing it for ourselves, and then when we get to a point within maybe just a year, like maybe a year and a half, obviously you get in your head. You kind of just start evaluating what you want to do and what everyone else is doing and what you're in it for. And it definitely... Is it
too much too soon as well?
It was too much too soon, in my opinion. I watched the greats. Like my favorite artist is J. Cole. And the reason I love him is because I feel like I grew with him. I watched him when he was a nobody. And I watched him do club shows. I watched him drop his albums and grow as an artist himself, to the point of now, like, I'm a solidified fan because I fully believe in everything you believe in. And for us, it was like putting out music to arenas in like 2 years.
But that's a big deal for a Punjabi artist to be
100%.
booking arenas.
100%.
And for artists, and that's the thing, right? Nobody prepares you for it because you don't know when it's going to come. It's everything has to align. Your hard work, your perseverance, your stars, your luck, the timing of things. If it doesn't align, it doesn't happen. Nobody can predict it.
100%.
Because so many people work for 25, 30 years and they still don't get that level of success. So it has to, and nobody tells you how to behave when you're successful either.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's inevitable.
So as I said, like 0 to 100 real quick. Like the fans don't really get a chance to grow with you. Mm-hmm. You know, it's really intimate when a fan comes and meets you at your club show and then they follow you along through your whole journey. And I'm not saying like, oh, we should have done that. Like whatever happened for a reason and is a blessing. And I'm so grateful that, you know, I got to step foot on Rogers Arena here at home base while my mom is still here and she gets to see me on stage. And, you know, like I'm so grateful for that opportunity. And but I've learned a lot since.
What have you learned?
Just about how to put on a show, how to keep people engaged and sending people home with something that they can just hold. I think that's the biggest thing. And I'm still learning. And like I'm booked for quite a few shows, and that's something that I want to now give my fans. I want them to hold something every time they leave my show. Be like, yo, I learned something, or this is a memory that I will take back, or something. You know, I want to give back, and I feel like we were too new at that time. Like, yes, we did an amazing time. The fans had an amazing show, but I feel like we could have done more.
You and I met for the first time in October, November of 2022.
Was this before the shows?
It was before the shows, because I think all of you had done some shows, but the local Vancouver one hadn't happened yet.
Okay, yeah.
And you were riding the wave, yes, if I may say.
Yeah.
So I got to, and this was during the documentary. I just want to, for people who don't know, I had done the Punjabi interviews for the documentary, and it was a phenomenal experience.
Mm-hmm.
I had a great time talking to each one of you, picking your brains. There was Gurinder in the room, there was AP, there was Shinda, there was you. And there was so much I learned in those 2 days. And everything seemed to look amazing. There was this camaraderie, but yet there was some, not necessarily tension, but I could sense some discomfort at some moments because I was there for 14 hours each.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, things changed for the world as well. On your comments, I can read, why did AP unfollow you? Why did you unfollow AP? And all those things are happening. So what was going on in those 2 years, 2.5 years, 3 years?
I knew this was coming. As I said, you know, we went from 0 to 100 real quick. When that happens, I think everybody kind of gets in their head. And also there's the fans kind of spreading rumors. And then there's also internal things that are happening. Basically, we were doing our shows and, you know, politics happens. I don't really want to get into the nitty gritty of like who said what said. It came to a point where there were tension. There's tensions between, you know, it happens between brothers. It happens all the time between families. You know, tension rises and energies shift. You know, sometimes some people are doing some things for the wrong reasons, or, you know, motives twist, and it kind of becomes a toxic environment. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you just have to step away from that environment to really find yourself. And I feel like that's kind of what I ended up doing. You
disappeared.
I disappeared for a little bit, yeah.
You did.
You know, we were on tour. Something happened. I won't touch on it, but something was said that I feel like it just took things a little too far. You know, we're Punjabi. We have a little bit of ego too. I'm not gonna lie. You know,
self-respect.
We have. You know, if the respect isn't there, the loyalty isn't there, and you feel like you've done a lot, but you're not receiving what is fair. You know, the environment gets toxic, and yes, you sometimes try to go past it, and you keep working, but the energies are off, and it's kind of just like this chip on your shoulder that's weighing you down. And then you have like all these fans just, you know, cheering you on and wanting more and wanting the best. You know, the pressure gets high. So there was a moment where I was like, you know, I kind of want to just step back, and I deactivated my socials. We were actually on tour at this time, and I kind of just booked my ticket. I flew back home, And I kind of just, I stepped back. And at that moment, I felt like, I made the right decision, because when I got home, I felt like a chip had just like, I just released like something, I felt so much lighter. I felt better that I had made that decision at that time. And even music at that time, it wasn't fulfilling for me anymore. It was like, what am I doing this for? I'm not doing it for the fans. I'm like, my motive changed. I started looking at the numbers. I started trying to outproduce my co-producers. I wasn't in the right headspace to be in the scene, and you could see it off my face. You could, if you were with me, you could sense that energy. You can sense people's auras, and I was really off. And so I decided to just take a break and step back. And then while I was on my break, I remember like I was just down, always down, and my mom noticed it as well. And I was just considering like maybe shifting career paths at that time. I was
really?
Like, I was honestly like talking to my dad. I was like, how do we get back into development? I want to start building houses. I want to get into real estate. I want to, music has kind of got toxic for me. I don't, even though that's my passion, I'll still come back to it. But I want to make it that plan B again. I want to just, love it again. Right. So maybe I need to step back for a bit. So that happened. And in that time, something tragic happened in my life. I lost my mom in December 2022.
Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, thank you. So that was something that, I didn't expect. And that kind of just added to the whole mix, just losing my mom. And then, I lost all motivation to do anything for a brief time. And then, and at that time, it kind of also showed me like who's really there for me. So when like, I had gotten married in the summer of 2022, and like everyone's there, everyone's partying. It was amazing. I'm so happy that like all my family pulled up, and I got to have that last party and that last, moment with my mom, and then just a few months later, I lose her. And then you really see like, okay, these people were here for the party and for the good times, but now that I'm going through it, my lowest point of my life, like the people that should have been there were not there. So that also kind of taught me a lesson in life, to really, the ones that love you, just hold them tight and really like, show them love. Like, don't just hold it in, and don't just show it when they're gone. Show them while they're here. That goes for your family and your peers and your friends, because, sometimes friends can be like your family. So that's something that I went through, end of 2022, right after we just finished the arena tour, just got married, and then, mom goes. And then, so 2023, I really took some time to really just find myself and find that passion. And it kind of, losing my mom kind of just gave me some drive as well. I was like, she not letting her waste her life. Like, she gave birth to me. There's a reason I'm here. And if I can spread, like, my mom was just like the pillar of my life. She was always just like spreading love and joy and just unconditional love at all times. So it's my duty to kind of spread that in honor of her memory. So like the only way I know how to spread it is through music. So that's kind of been my driving point since. So it took me a while to get back into it. And obviously when you haven't been in the studio for like many months, you kind of get rusty. You kind of got to relearn some things. So it took me a while to get back in and, I was really super antisocial. I kind of became an introvert. I didn't pick up my phone calls. I didn't want to talk to other artists. I didn't want to deal with people. So getting back outside and starting to talk with people and putting yourself out there. And so that was also, it was kind of just me shutting the door and then opening it back up and trying to get back on the horse and start riding. And then, I started connecting with new people. I wanted to put my ear to the ground and see who's next, like who looked at us, got inspired, and has been cooking up in their bedroom just like we did. So, I started looking around, listening to what music was coming out, what had come out while I was away. I discovered Sukha. I heard some of his songs. I knew Jeet, who was his manager. He's friends with one of my cousins. He reached out being like, yo, I want to get you guys in the studio. So that was one of my like first times, like, you know, getting back into music scene, going to Toronto, meeting bro, and getting back into the motion of, you know, making music again. So
how had things changed for you personally? Grief changes you forever. It really does. And it comes in waves, right? So this different version of you that was going back to the studio after having experienced what you had experienced in that year, because you're grieving friendships and you're grieving your mom at the same time. And then you're trying to get back up from that darkness. What had shifted in you as a person?
Just appreciation for life, you know, and I'm so happy that I'm born, like I'm here, that I get to experience all of this. And the fact that I don't want to, you know, act like I'm cool or act like I'm somebody else, or act like someone I'm not, just for, I don't know, clout or numbers or money or fortune or whatever. I wanted to just, you know, be appreciative of this life and continue on that first thing that me and AP talked about, is leaving something behind for people and sending a good message, and just, you know, spreading that love that my mom spread to me, and kind of being that, you know, voice or light for other artists that might be going through this as well. Like, you know, starting off and getting that fame, and then it gets to their head or whatever happens. Like, I want to just keep people level-headed and be like, yo, just remember what you're in it for. Like, you know, we're not here for long. Like, this is a blip in time. Like, you know, let's leave something behind, and let's be a positive impact. And like, you know, I look at my numbers and I have so many kids listening to me. I have like a majority of my listeners are like under the age of 16, and like, you know, they all look up to us, and like, it's about what we leave behind for them. So
how much of a responsibility do you feel then when you're producing music, when it comes to lyrics? Because I was talking to somebody who's sort of really into the music scene and is also following what's going on. And they said their biggest fear right now at this moment is because everybody's just talking about the fast cars and the money and the fame, even in the music videos, and violence. It's pretty evident that our kids are getting drawn to this type of music. So how much of a responsibility is it for them?
It is a big responsibility. Obviously, like, we're still entertainers at the end of the day. Like, I look at it like this, like a movie actor may play a villain, right? He may play the bad guy, the drug dealer, but he's just an actor at the end of the day. You know, he's selling that movie. You know, he's just an actor. You know, it's just an act. Same goes for music. It's just entertainment. You can't really take it that serious all the time. Like, yes, some of my music, you know, it could be vulgar and it talks about the wrong things, but I definitely, you know, I want to let you know that, like, I'm keeping that in mind. I know that the kids are listening, and I obviously I'm there to entertain, but I also want to leave a good message there. You know, some dungi and galan like occur in some of the music. So my headspace is right. I'm there. I know what I'm doing. I know the type of music that we're putting out. Yes, it might not always be the best for the kids, but we're shifting that. We're shifting it. Like Brown Munde was that song. Like, it wasn't. We're not talking about, you know, anything wrong. We're just motivating.
Right.
And I feel like that was a good formula and a recipe to you know, go forward with. Yeah,
because the misconception is that good songs don't do well as well, the ones that preach. But I don't think that's true.
No.
How has becoming a dad changed things as to how you look at music and what kind of music you put out?
It's changed everything. Yeah, I just became a dad like a year ago.
We can hear him crying.
Yeah. He's here with me. It's his birthday in a couple of days. It's changed everything, to be honest. Like, people always say, look, when you have a kid, like, it'll change you, and I never really understood it, but it's fully changed everything in the way that I work and how motivated I am. Like, I'm doing everything for him, you know, and I know one day he's going to grow up and he's going to look back on my legacy, and, you know, I want to leave something behind for him as well to be proud of. And definitely I take him everywhere I go. I want him to be proud and know that I didn't just, you know, make music just to make music, or work with so-and-so just to work with so-and-so. I put everything into, you know, whoever I work with or whatever projects I put out, you know, yeah.
Gagan, do you see, and this is one of the last questions I'm going to ask, do you ever think all of you will get back together? AP, Gigi, Shinda, yourself.
Yeah, like regardless of what's happened, like I have much respect for these people. Like, you know, we came up as brothers, we worked hard, and they are the most talented people in this industry right now, and I stand on that. I would love to, you know, and you know, like I'm never a person that will hold grudges, and you know, like I want to spread this love, and you know, eventually, you never know what the world will hold, and you know, we have songs in the vault in my phone right now that, you know, we could release today, and people be like, what the hell, you know, like, you know, I wish we could. You never know. I'm not going to speak on anybody else, but I have the utmost respect for all these people and what we've accomplished and what we've done and what they're continuing to do till this day, you know. So yeah, would love to.
Another enigma. If I don't ask about him, I'm going to get in a lot of trouble because people are constantly commenting to get Gigi on the podcast.
Yeah.
Maybe we can make it happen now since you're here.
Yeah.
How's the relationship there, you and him, and how's he doing?
He's good. He's making music. I'm not going to lie. We haven't spoken in some time, but we're on good terms. And that's what's most important. I can pick up the phone and I can call him and he'll be there, you know. So that's what really matters. But we're at a point where we all wanted to just do our own thing at this moment and showcase to the world, like, no, this is who I am as an individual and this is who you are as an individual. And we all understand, like, you know, we came up together. Without G minor, there wouldn't be no AP or GG or Shinda. Without AP, GG, Shinda, there would be no G minor. So I think there's enough mutual respect there to, you know, keep things going, and who knows, one day you might, you know, it might just happen.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah, let's make it happen.
Well, you're the only person who can make it happen now, so we got to get him in the studio. It was a pleasure to talk to him, actually, when I got a chance to talk to him, because all of you are very different. That's one thing that I realized, and it did surprise me back then. How did you all come together? Because each one of you as a personality and as a person are very different from each other.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
But magic happened.
But it was just the right mix.
Absolutely.
You know, it was an amazing mix. I had an amazing time coming up with these guys. I still reminisce. I still can't believe it. Still feels like a dream, like everything that's happened. But I'm so glad that it happened the way everything that happened happened for a reason.
Absolutely.
And hopefully, like, you know, we're just motivating the next generation of youth to really take example from this and learn from our mistakes and just grow further and take this culture, take this music to a whole nother level. I think we're still just kind of like, you know, we've hit the arenas, but there's so much further to go.
Is it hard for you to be out there, put yourself, because you've been such a behind the scenes type of person?
I'm not going to lie, it is, even like doing this podcast, being in front of these cameras. Like, I'm an introvert at the end of the day, and you know, this is work, this is hard work, but you know, this is, if I want to do the things that I'm talking about doing, I got to do this, and you know, this is the work that we got to put in.
I hope you had a good time.
I had an amazing time. It's always so easy to talk to you. Even when we did the Amazon documentary, you were so easy to talk to, so thank you
for coming all the way from the island, from Victoria, and making this happen.
No, thank you so much.
And I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. Same with you.
Thank you.
Yeah.